Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is Beastly EO, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about the two-episode series premiere of X-Men 97. So, one of the key things that I want to bring here before getting into the story is the animation I was not super keen on in the beginning, but it grew on me significantly. The voice acting was vastly different in my mind to the original, which throws me off just because I started recently rewatching the series. Already, almost I'm on the final season now of the original. Did not get to finish it before the show came out, but it's different. That being said, if I take that away, this was an amazing show. Between the storytelling, the action, and the animations of the fights were incredible. So, that being said, let's get right into episode one. Episode one is basically them trying to figure out how they're going to be X-Men without Professor X. And it's a little bit of a hodgepodge of everything kind of coming together. We have um, Cyclops using his optic blast to make himself mobile, easily like movable. We have Wolverine charging up um, we have Wolverine being charged up by Gambit and slicing through things. We still have Rogue's super strength and everything else. So the first episode is basically the X-Men trying to figure out how they're going to be a team together, and the fact that they're dealing with the Friends of Humanity coming back together and apparently gaining equipment from destroyed Sentinels. So in their first battle, they're fighting the heroes, Friends of Humanity. Sorry, Friends of Humanity. I keep forgetting what the H stands for. With their new Sentinel tech, where they've captured a mutant who we later find out is Sunspot. But anyway, we then have them all fighting and everything else, and they save the kid and they get out of there. So they then find out that there is that the creator of the Sentinels is apparently creating Sentinels inside in a foreign country, trying to recreate Master Mold. That's when the X-Men go to said location and start tearing apart the Sentinels one by one. That's where we get to see some combos that are really cool and everything else. And we have Storm coming in, really just destroying everyone. And in the end, Master Mold and the Doctor were defeated. So Master Mold was destroyed, and the Doctor was taken into custody by the UN. The UN works with the X-Men to keep mutants and humans together. So then Cyclops and Jean Grey are now having a child, and they're thinking about leaving. And that's pushing the X-Men to not wanting to follow Scott, and the fact that they're feeling like they're just going to be abandoned by Scott and Jean. She's pretty pregnant, like really pregnant. So anyway, we then end the episode with an intruder breaking into the X Mansion, specifically in Charles Xavier's room. So they all go there to find Magneto, who has stated that he has been reading the last will and testament of Charles Francis Xavier, and stating that his fortune, his X-Men, and his school were all left to him. And that, my friends, is how the episode ends. So there's a lot of discord and all that stuff. So in the second episode, it starts off with the X-Men really going against the idea of working with Magneto. And Rogue is one of the few people who was kind of like, we got to at least give him a chance, right? And not everyone else is agreeing to this. And so Magneto is now doing some humanitarian stuff. He's sending the Morlocks to Genosha. He is then trying to he's even saved humans. Specifically, there was a Ferris wheel that went off the rails. He protected, like he used his mutant ability and put it back together. So everyone's realizing that he is now the leader of the X-Men, and the UN is kind of questioning what's going on here because they don't trust Magneto, mostly due to the fact that he was a terrorist once before. So the UN decides to go right after Magneto. Now, before this, there's a little interaction between Magneto and the X-Men, and Magneto is basically demanding respect, and Rogue explains to him that that's not the best way to do that. If you truly want this, you have to earn the respect. You can't come in demanding it. She goes, I came in here not knowing what was going on with my life and everything else, and that these people accepted me. I didn't demand the respect later because I earned it. And that's one of the big things I wanted to see in that, when we see kind of Magneto realizing he has to earn it. So the UN comes in, guns a blazing, ready to take in Magneto. So they're all claiming that they are looking to arrest Magneto and charge him for crimes against, well, his terrorist crimes. So Magneto then uses the helicopters and has them spinning around the group, specifically the UN group. And then Magneto says, if I indulge in your little trial, will it be a fair one? And if so, if I am expunged, will I then be trusted as much as Charles Xavier had been? And there's hesitation there, but she eventually says yes. Um, the reason why I say there was hesitation is because I think the idea was she would respect Magneto more, but I don't think she respects would respect him in the same extent as Charles Xavier. However, I do believe that she would then trust that he would want, how do I phrase this? That he would want to keep Charles Xavier's wish alive. And that's something the UN definitely wants. So he's then now put on trial, and that's when the Friends of Humanity are not happy about that. So the leader of the Friends of Humanity that was attacked in the first episode have now decided to charge the collars that were used to nullify mutants' abilities and put it into a weapon. And they're going to use it on Magneto. So there's a trial going on, and humans and mutants alike are not happy about it. So the X-Men are there to kind of keep the peace. Well, Friends of Humanity breaks in. They start a fight. Wolverine and Jean are home. Jean goes into labor. She then, Wolverine gets her to the hospital. While everything is going on, Scott's getting beat up by the sniper, who has not sniped anybody yet. And then Rogue is ordered to bring Scott to Jean Grey so he can see his child. So Jean Grey eventually has her kid, although there was a little bit of a fight at the hospital because the hospital did not want to give birth to a mutant. Um, and so Rogue absorbed the memories and skill set of the doctor, and then decided to help Jean give birth to her child. So they gave birth to their child, and they named him Nathaniel Charles Summers. For those of you who've read the comics or seen, played any of the games, that is obviously the name of two characters. One, Cable, and the other one, X-Man. They're technically the same person, the difference being just what happens to them in time. So anyway, we have all that. We then move on to the UN, where they're finally deciding. Storm basically explains to them that now that they're breaking the ranks, they're going to need Magneto free. So she orders them to release Magneto, um, and that's when Magneto and Storm are now keeping everyone in line. Well, the sniper comes in and he aims at Magneto and he opens fires. Well, Storm sees what's happening and she takes the hit. That hit hits her, and she no longer has control of the weather. This is a devastating scene because we actually hear and feel Storm not being connected to the atmosphere anymore. And that's something she's been able to do since she was 12 or 14. And she's lost that connection and now is unaware of what's going on around her anymore. And Magneto is irritated. Irritated is not the right word. He then goes full on ape mode, lifts up the UN council and um, the sniper and brings them into the atmosphere. And he basically explains that every part of his being wants to do nothing more than destroy them. to prove a point that obviously humans and mutants are not ready to be together again. But he's not going to. He's proving a point that he could do this without a problem, but he's choosing not to because this is not what Charles would want. But know that he is irritated beyond irritation that somebody was hurt so badly for what reason other than the fact that people are scared, and that is not enough for it to be done. So he lets them down, and Magneto is expunged of all his crimes. People are not happy about it, and Storm leaves the X Men. She feels so out of touch with everything that she doesn't feel like she belongs, and so she leaves. Scott and Jean are still sticking around with the X Men to try to make sure everything is going the way they think um, Charles Xavier would want. And Rogue and Magneto apparently have had a past, and they're starting to connect a little bit more. And Gambit, unfortunately, is aware of it and is heartbroken. The other thing, too, is Beast thinks that the blast that was done to Storm is permanent. And that, my friends, was the first two episodes. So this was heavy hitting from the get go. So I didn't talk too much about Morph. Morph was there. His ability also gives him the powers of the mutants. So we got to see a lot of cameos of like Lady Deathstrike, Sabretooth, Archangel, Colossus. So we get to see all those guys because of Morph. And I think, I mean, honestly, there's only 10 episodes for this season, but this was only the first two episodes, and a lot happened in a short amount of time. So I'm very curious to see where the rest of this season is going to go. Um, but let me know what you guys thought about these two episodes in the comments down below. Did you like it? Did you not? And why? I mean, I don't know how you couldn't not like it. It was well done, and the story was really good. Um, and as always, if you like the content you see, please make sure you like and subscribe down below. Other than that, this is going to be Beastly Eel signing out. Have a great night.